Hello everyone, this is an update on my previous video about the beginner's guide to the Blight Necromancer. Be sure to check it out in the description below if you haven't seen it yet. I covered all the basics of this particular build. In this video I will demonstrate how I am continuously improving this build, progressively delving deeper into the endgame. I will outline the changes I have made and share the lessons I've learned since the initial video release. I've researched this build extensively, gathering knowledge from videos and written guides. I've implemented this knowledge into my own character and I've already seen positive changes. I recently started using a two-handed scythe with a greater intelligence affix, which is a crucial stat to look for in your weapon, along with either damage or damage over time. Finding this scythe has motivated me to try out the second build variant I mentioned in the first video. Just to clarify, this variant focuses on dealing maximum single target damage quickly, allowing me to tackle the toughest challenges in the game, such as pushing the highest tier pits and tormented uber bosses. The first variant of this build, which I covered in the first video, is still completely viable and is better for speed farming, being more focused towards clear speed and balancing damage with survivability. Back to the scythe though. I also managed to enchant it and temper it for increased damage rolls, which is perfect, but I also hit an increase in blight size. This wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but I've run out of tempering rolls, so it'll have to do. When tempering for utility, you should focus on either increasing the duration of Bone Storm or increasing the chances for blight projectiles to fire twice. It's better to aim for improving Bone Storm duration because it is one of your main defenses. However, it's important to note that this improvement has only a 1 in 4 chance of occurring. The remaining 3 possibilities are not useful, making it risky to pursue this unless you have other weapons. On the other hand, aiming to increase the chance for blight projectiles to fire twice is still beneficial, also with a 1 in 4 chance, but the other 3 options are somewhat relevant to this build. I would recommend attempting the Bone Storm duration temper once or twice at the beginning of tempering. If you don't succeed, it's best to play it safe and go for the other tempers. Keep in mind you'll want to prioritise getting a damage or damage over time temper first, so focus on those before trying utility tempers. I masterworked the scythe and managed to improve both intelligence and damage on my first attempt, which was perfect. I saw a damage increase of over 300% compared to my previous weapons. I immediately noticed an improvement in single target damage. I also made 2 little changes. First, I moved the blighted legendary aspect from my gloves to the scythe because of the increased number due to the two-handed weapon, and I transferred the damned aspect from my old focus to my gloves. Another change that I made was swapping out some gems for topaz instead of ruby to really lean into that intelligence stacking aspect, since I got an intelligence greater affix on the scythe and a few other pieces of gear. I removed as many ruby gems as possible while keeping my life above 25,000, which I consider to be an absolute minimum. With these changes I increased my intelligence by around 500, resulting in another 50% damage increase. The pit bosses that used to take me a few minutes to kill now take me less than a minute. Let's discuss the trade-offs. I felt more squishy and sluggish when I switched to a two-handed weapon. It cost me around 5,000 life and reduced my attack speed. However, I believe these are only temporary setbacks. I'm confident that with some more gear farming for the right stats, I'll regain both my durability and attack speed. That leads me into the stat attack speed. In my previous video, I failed to mention the importance of attack speed, thinking it wouldn't be that impactful. However, after doing some research, I found out that it is actually very important. Most of your single target damage will come when the boss is in its down state, because we deal significantly more damage to enemies that are crowd controlled. But more importantly, when the boss is in its down state, it is our chance to stack as many blight pools under it as possible. With a high attack speed, you're able to shoot blight much faster, resulting in many more blight pools stacked under the boss, which deals a lot more damage than you might think. Attack speed is so important that it's the next thing that you should prioritise after damage and damage over time. I'd like to discuss another important factor that boosts your damage passively, although it's not an offensive stat. I briefly mentioned this in my previous video: essence per second and resource cost reduction. In the background footage featuring my character, you may have noticed that I struggle with essence. This is because I don't have any essence regeneration, which I desperately need. Although I have a 30% essence cost reduction, it's not very effective without essence per second. Basically what happens is that I end up shooting all of my blights and then awkwardly running around, spamming corpse explosion while waiting for my essence to come back. This wasn't a big deal with the other variant because the Black River consumed up to 5 corpses at once, essentially giving me 5 times more essence back. Now that I don't have that bonus, I can really feel the difference and how bad it is to not have any essence regeneration. It not only affects the quality of life, but it also significantly impacts your damage, because once you run out of essence, you can't stack any more blight pools under the boss, which, as I mentioned previously, is the majority of your damage. With good essence per second and resource cost reduction, you will be able to shoot many more blights before the boss comes out of their down state. Therefore, it's important to prioritise these utility stats before any others. To summarise, the next steps for this character are clear. First and foremost, I need to focus on increasing essence per second and attack speed, and then I should consider boosting my maximum life and bone storm duration. Once I've accomplished that, it will probably be time to start optimizing my gear, aiming to fill out the rest of my gear with other useful stats, and trying to find double or even triple greater affixes. Finally, I plan to masterwork my gear to the highest level. I hope you have enjoyed this deeper dive into some of the nuances of this build. I will do my best to keep on track with these updates in the following weeks, but I may also start another character to experience something new. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful night or day, and I will see you around.